If you forget birthdays, hate small talk, and daydream like it's your full-time job, you might not be broken. You might be brilliant. Because science says some of the strangest habits, the ones people mock, overlook, or misunderstand, are actually signs of hidden creativity. You don't need a paintbrush or a lab coat to qualify. Sometimes the weirdest parts of your personality are your brain's way of shouting, "Hey, I'm a genius over here." Number 1, you overthink everything. Even the thing you're overthinking about. You replay conversations in your head from last week with the cashier, who probably doesn't even remember your face. You write texts, delete them, then rewrite them in lowercase so they sound more chill. Sound familiar? Overthinking gets a bad rap, but in the right context, it's a brain superpower. A 2015 study from King's College London linked anxiety and overthinking to verbal intelligence and imaginative thinking. Basically, your mind is so good at running simulations, it can't stop making them, even when you're just ordering a sandwich. Creative brains don't just see what is, they see what could be, what might be, and what will probably go terribly wrong if they say the wrong thing. It's exhausting, but it's also the same brain activity that fuels writers, inventors, and artists. The trick? Channel the overthinking into ideas before it turns into insomnia. Number 2, you're bad at basic life stuff. And that's weirdly a good thing. You keep forgetting to take the laundry out. Your emails go unanswered. And your plants? They're basically begging for water in Morse code. On paper, it sounds like you're disorganized, lazy even. But according to multiple cognitive science studies, people who show poor attention to routine maintenance often score higher in creative problem solving. It's not that you can't remember to buy dish soap. It's that your brain doesn't care to remember. It's busy chasing patterns, breaking rules, solving abstract problems you don't even know you're thinking about. In fact, researchers at Harvard found that absent-minded people often score higher in divergent thinking. The ability to connect unrelated ideas. The same mental skill used by inventors, writers, and mad geniuses. So no, you're not broken. You're just mentally off-roading. Number 3, you drift off a lot, but your brain's actually in beast mode. You're in a meeting. Someone's explaining quarterly projections. Suddenly, your brain decides now's the perfect time to imagine what squirrels would look like in tiny business suits. That's not laziness. That's mental time travel. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network, a part of your brain that lights up when you're not focused on anything specific. And here's the twist. It's most active when you're daydreaming. It's also tied to problem solving, long-term planning, and, you guessed it, creative thinking. Einstein used it. So did Isaac Newton. And probably that kid in 3rd grade who stared out the window and somehow grew up to build an app that made him a millionaire. Daydreaming lets your brain take raw information and remix it in unexpected ways. It's the mental equivalent of a DJ spinning records while everyone else is stuck reading sheet music. So next time you catch yourself zoning out, don't fight it. You might be one mental detour away from your best idea yet. Number 4, you feel everything. All the time. And it's a lot. A sad commercial, you cry. A happy commercial, you also cry. Someone else is crying, well, now you're crying too. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, congrats. That's a creative green flag. Psychologists call it emotional intensity, and it's strongly linked to creativity, especially in people who score high on openness to experience, a trait tied to imagination and originality. Highly creative people don't just think deeply, they feel deeply. That emotional sensitivity makes it easier to connect with others, spot hidden patterns, and create work that moves people. Whether it's music, design, or just the world's most soul-crushing Facebook comment. It also explains why you probably get overwhelmed in loud rooms, can't stand small talk, and occasionally spiral into a deep existential crisis because your sandwich didn't taste like you thought it would. Feeling too much isn't a weakness. It's your brain tuning into the world like a high-powered satellite dish. No wonder it needs a nap afterward. Number 5, you start projects, but rarely finish them, and that's not always a bad thing. You've got a half-written novel on your laptop, a forgotten painting in the garage, and 5 business ideas scribbled on napkins from 2019. To outsiders, it looks like flakiness. To psychologists, it looks like a classic trait of creative ideation. See, highly creative people get hits of dopamine from starting things. New ideas light up the reward center of the brain. But when the novelty fades, the brain moves on. Not because it's lazy, because it's wired to chase the next spark. A study published in Psychology of Aesthetics, Creativity, and the Arts found that idea generation is often much stronger than idea execution in creative types. In other words, the imagination is limitless, but the stamina, not so much. That doesn't mean you're doomed to be a chronic quitter. It just means your brain is an idea factory, one that sometimes forgets to install the shipping department. Number 6, you notice the weird stuff, and that's the real magic. While everyone else is talking, you're staring at the crooked painting on the wall. You notice that one light flickering. You hear the tiny pause in someone's voice when they say, "I'm fine." You're not being weird, you're being observant. And that's one of the sharpest tools in the creative toolbox. Creative people tend to have heightened pattern recognition. It's how Sherlock Holmes solved crimes. It's also how real-life innovators connect dots most people never even see. This kind of thinking isn't always flashy. Sometimes it looks like zoning out, doodling in meetings, or obsessing over tiny details that don't matter. But in the background, your brain is scanning the world like it's a puzzle waiting to be solved. You see connections, contradictions, and details most people miss. And those are the seeds of invention, art, and sometimes really great conspiracy theories. Number 7, you get bored. Fast. But that's your brain asking for more fuel. You try to focus, you really do. But after 5 minutes, your brain's already planning a fictional road trip across Iceland or inventing a toaster that sings. You're not being rude. You're just understimulated. Boredom for creative people isn't just restlessness. It's a signal. A blinking neon sign that says, "This isn't enough. Give me something to build, imagine, or destroy." A University of Central Lancashire study actually found that bored participants came up with more creative solutions to problems than those who were engaged in tasks. Why? Because boredom creates mental friction, and the creative brain hates friction. So it invents its way out. This is why creative geniuses often jump between hobbies, get impatient in school, or change careers like they're switching socks. It's not about inconsistency, it's about chasing novelty, challenge, and the thrill of the unknown. So, are you a creative genius in disguise? Let's review. You forget simple things. You overthink everything. You daydream constantly, feel too much, start projects you don't finish, and get bored in 4.7 seconds. Sounds like a mess, right? Maybe. Or maybe it's the blueprint of a mind that's wired to create, explore, and rebuild the world from the inside out. Because here's the twist. Most geniuses didn't look like geniuses, not at first. They look distracted, disorganized, even a little lost. And maybe that's you too. But here's the real question. What if the only thing standing between your strange little brain and your biggest idea ever is the moment you stop trying to be normal?